So I've been mega stressed today, running around trying to find out whether or not this extension to the Golden Visa deadline is really happening. And I can't get an answer from anybody. And I was, been stressing. I mean, I wasn't sleeping last week because I was panicking about paying out any more money against the contract because at the moment, as far as the progress and what I've paid and the actual progress of the work, because lots of things have been started, but nothing's actually been finished yet. And so I've currently paid about 60% of the value of the contract, but only maybe 40% of the work has been done. And most of that's just started and not completed. So I was having this real anxiety thing about paying the builder more money just to get me over the line for the Golden Visa when they haven't completed the work that I've already paid for against the contract. There's been a few things said about they're not going to make much money out of this project anymore and blah, blah, blah. So I was starting to get a bit worried and concerned that if I paid more money when they haven't actually completed the work that I've already paid for, what would happen? But I kind of get no choice, right? If I don't pay the money, then I'm not over the threshold by the deadline and I don't get my visa at all. So, the question today, just because of the way I structured it, and, I like to think that I have half a brain in my head, and I did structure it in such a way that meant that I've paid for some of the other things through the contract to deliberately give myself a little bit of leeway in case the project ran over. But the reality is that I still have to pay about 20 grand by close of business tomorrow, or I won't be over that threshold by the deadline. So I was kind of trying to get some information from immigration to go, well, maybe I don't need to pay it. Maybe they're going to extend the deadline and all of that. But I've just talked to another friend and the reality is, even if they extend the deadline, I still really need to apply because I need to get all my other ducks in a row with regards to, other things that are being held up by the fact that I haven't been able to apply for my visa yet. So if I pay the 20 grand tomorrow, I'm over the threshold. It still means I can apply. Even if they extend the deadline, whatever, it doesn't matter. I can still apply for my visa, right? But it's risky. And this is where I sit there and I kind of go, I'm sitting here tossing things around. Well, they've started the work. They have to pay their subcontractors. Their subcontractors aren't going to leave the work half done. They want to get paid. So, that's not likely that that's going to, be a real issue. All the work started, it's not completed. But it's scary, right? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't already a little bit concerned about the delays. And, but I've also said to the engineers, there was a clause that was, if they hadn't finished by the end of the year, that there was a penalty clause. And I basically said to them, look, I understand why there's been delays and it really isn't their fault. They've worked really hard actually in the time since they've started. The whole problem was the delay in starting. But yeah, it's just this risk element where you sort of sit there and go, do I throw another 20 grand at it? What happens if something happens and they decide then they've got the money, but then they don't complete the work? Then what do I do? But I think I need to stop worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And at this point, 20,000 in comparison to the loss of the whole, 250,000 is a nothing, right? I still have a house. I still have the house, most of the big things have been done. It's just the finishing. But it's a tricky place to be. Anyway, what would you do? Would you pay 20 grand when you're not sure, the work's not been completed already and we're not sure when it's going to get completed? If there's no deadline there? I'm curious.